Um, Let me be clear about this GOAT debate. Statistics, whether we're talking about win shares or we're talking about scoring average, triple doubles, assists, rebounds, whatever, these stats are a means to an end. They are not the end of themselves. The goal of the basketball game is to win the game and to win the NBA championship. And as a team's best player, your job is to lead your team in winning the NBA championship. If you can do that with mediocre stats, then you've done your job. The objective is to win the basketball game.
If I am hiring a sales team, I don't care that you made the most calls. I don't care that you made the most contacts. I don't even care if you actually brought in the most number of clients. I care about how much money did you produce for the company. Period. Point blank. I don't care about any of the metrics that suggest that you were very good or perhaps the best. Okay? I care about how much money did you produce for the company last year. That's what you're worth. Okay? I don't care that you worked a lot of hours. I don't care that, or I don't care about any ancillary metric. Okay? As the best player on a basketball team, your job is to put the team on your back and deliver a championship. Kobe Bryant was not trying to win the MVP. He was not trying to lead the league in scoring. He was not trying to lead the league in assists. He was not trying to get triple doubles. He was trying to win the NBA championship. Okay? You people that keep talking about these stat lines, you have it confused. Okay? That you're measuring the means for performing a task with the actual outcome.
So then the question becomes, how do you help your team win the NBA championship with mediocre stats? If the objective isn't to produce an efficient or impressive stat line, how do you help your team win the NBA championship? Now, Kobe is often criticized for the playoff game against the Phoenix Suns, wherein he refused to shoot in the last several minutes of the game. He's criticized for quote unquote quitting on his team. So when that criticism came out, Kobe pushed back against Charles Barkley, and he went on to the TNT show and was interviewed by Barkley and who was it, Kenny Smith, and he explained his thought process. The thought process was that the way to beat that particular team, now this is the Steve Nash Suns, extremely prolific offensive team. Mike D'Antoni coached. So Kobe explained that he understood that he had the capacity to go out and just put up 40, 45, 50 points pretty much whenever he wanted. But that wasn't the way to beat that team. Okay? That was a very prolific offense. If Kobe had just simply went out and scored a bunch of points, the Phoenix Suns would have just matched that offense and exceeded it. he explained that the way to beat that team was to get full participation on the defensive end. What Kobe was saying was that he needed his teammates to be involved, to feel involved in the game. So how do you get them involved in the game? You let them shoot. You let them, you keep the ball moving, and you have Smush Parker and Kwame Brown and Lamar Odom. You have them getting their touches, getting their shots at the basket, and that increases the team's morale. They work better on defense. Now you've got a chance to stay with that team. And at the end of the game, maybe then Kobe can, deliver the last few points of the game. Now, it didn't work, okay? The Suns obviously won the game, and Kobe not shooting the ball, okay, looked bad. They never really got in the game enough for the strategy to work, okay? But so Kobe ended up looking bad. But if you look at his thought process in that situation, you understand how a great player evaluates and considers a team. He was trying to figure out how to beat the Phoenix Suns. Okay? It's not just about, accumulating as many points as you can. That's not how you do it. Okay? Another example, Isaiah Thomas with the Bad Boy Pistons. How do you stop Michael Jordan? Well, they had to figure out how to beat him. Okay? How do you beat him? You beat him up. Okay? You keep him out of the lane. You punish him when he gets in the lane. And the thought process is that he's not going to beat you from the perimeter. So you either make him beat you from the perimeter or make someone else beat you. Okay? It worked. It wasn't about Isaiah Thomas putting up 35 points. He was capable of it. Isaiah Thomas, he could have easily just put up a bunch of stats and, put up 25, 35 points, and the Bulls would have just matched that offense. You have to figure out how to beat him. This is what Kobe was referring to. This is what he was talking about when he was talking about LeBron and facing the Golden State Warriors. You have to figure out how to beat them. Yes, the KD Warriors, that was a juggernaut, but you have to figure out how to beat them. It's not about just producing a stat line. The players that often impact the game the most are often some of the players that have the least impressive or some of the least impressive stat lines. For instance, Robert Covington of the Blazers. Now, last year's Blazers team barely made the playoffs and finished 4 games below 500. This year's Blazers team with Robert Covington finished 12 games above 500, and this is in spite of the fact that both Yusuf Nurkic and C.J. McCollum missed significant games. I think Nurkic missed 35 games and McCollum missed 25 in a 72-game season. So, in fact, Covington's net rating is higher than that of Dame Lillard's. Of course, Lillard is a much better player, as evidenced by his clutch scoring. But Covington is probably the second best player on that team. If you want an historical example of what I'm talking about, look no further than John Hondo Havlicek. Okay, John Havlicek has 8 NBA championships. 8. And what's most impressive is that he won 2 of his championships without Bill Russell. So, while it is certainly true that he played with a lot of talent on the 60s, 70s team, the 60s Celtics team. Uh, that is not so true of the 70s Celtics. And if there was anything approaching a dynasty, it would have to be the early 70s Celtics team. The Celtics won the NBA championship in 1974 and in 1976. In 1973, they won 68 games and would have won the NBA championship were it not for an injury that Havelicek suffered in the conference finals that year, and that is also true of 1975. That Celtics team would have beaten the Golden State Warriors that year. Havlicek got injured, and the Celtics did not make the finals that year. But they came essentially 2 injuries away from potentially four-peating. So what is it about John Havlicek? John Havlicek is ranked 201st all time in career PER. He's below people like Brad Stevens or Brad Miller. I'm sorry. Clearly, if PER was such a predictor of success on the basketball court, of actually winning games, Havlicek, someone with 2 more titles than Michael Jordan, would rank a lot higher than 201. So the point is, stats are just not, they just don't tell the whole story. Speaking of the whole story, Kobe is often criticized for the 2010 finals for shooting 6 for 24. I personally believe that game was his masterpiece. First of all, you take a team that averaged 99 points a game and you limit them to 79 points. Okay? That's a team accomplishment. Individually, you take a team that has a great point guard in Rajon Rondo. You limit their scoring opportunities by out-rebounding them. That's how you beat them. You go out and you get 15 rebounds like Kobe did that day. Okay? But most impressively, Paul Pierce and Ray Allen combined for 8 for 29 in that game for a total of 31 points. These are 2 Hall of Famers, both of whom play Kobe's position. And together they go 8 for 29. You see, figuring out how to win the game, it's a much more complicated process than just putting up stats. You have to figure out, some teams you have to out-rebound, some teams you have to outscore, some teams you can demoralize by just scoring a bunch of points on them, going for 81. Okay? Some teams it takes sticking a big 6'7" small forward on their point guard and picking them up at midcourt. Okay? And stats just often don't reflect the extent to which the player was able to give his team what the team needed to be able to win the game. Stats don't tell the whole story.